championship football, and we'll get that fixed.
They are a championship-level group, and I hope we see them there.
Okay. Did that look like the old Rodgers or an old Rodgers?
It looked like an old Rodgers, and there were moments where 8 kind of flashed like he was 12.
Oh.
Couple of those throws, but they weren't. It wasn't enough. Clearly, it wasn't enough. What I will say is, if you're a Jets fan, you have to feel good about the idea that you have a quarterback that when you're in situations like on that scoring drive, third downs, you see him making all the adjustments, putting his offensive line in protection calls, giving signals to your receivers, giving everybody an opportunity to where we can be in a advantageous situation from a play call standpoint. That was great. Outside of that, he's limited in mobility. I mean, this is a version of Aaron Rodgers that is going to be so different because we've all been accustomed to seeing him get outside the pocket, extend the plays, throw off one leg, off script, offset, all these things. That is no more.
Show the passing chart. I want Greg to react to it. Greg, because I don't know if you saw these dots, but it's where he threw the football yesterday, and I can figure that out.
Yeah.
And so that's also not Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
I understand it's week 1, and some people are like, oh, that's a Charvarius Ward chart. I get that, former Chief, great Super Bowl champ, but he's not shutting down a whole side of a field like that. That's what Rodgers and Hackett were comfortable.
And so
with.
what I see is a offense that's super vanilla, that doesn't use a lot of motion, that doesn't use a lot of mixing up what you're going to get from a personnel variation. Like when we see the San Francisco 49ers, they're constant motion. Everybody's switching up. They're trying to get a advantage from a personnel standpoint, matchup standpoint. If I feel like Debo has an advantage, well, I'm going to motion him to someone that gives him a distinct advantage. Mm-hmm. We didn't see that with the Jets. I don't know if we saw it one time. Right. And this is something that Aaron has.
Whose job is that usually?
It's usually the offensive coordinators. However, I will say this: Aaron Rodgers has never really cared for a bunch of motion. When we saw him with Matt LaFleur, it was like, okay, you're going to run this offense that we have, and you got to trust me. And then once he completely bought in, MVP level. But this is not what Aaron Rodgers likes. He likes to see everybody in the same position so he can dictate the terms.
I want Brew to go, but I also want to tell the audience something and you something. You just kind of made me and Wild's life a little harder the next 6 months.
Why?
Because he said so much of what Brew said in the first segment, and Brew does fashion himself a bit of a, an athlete like Greg. No. What? And so, no. Is that true? No.
Hold on.
No.
I went to Greg's suite with an idea. I said, this is what I'm thinking. What do you think about that? Yeah. He confirmed.
Yeah. No,
Did you not confirm what I was saying?
Exactly.
Yeah,
That's
I played
why
wide
I'm
receiver
saying
in high school.
Brew thinks we have 2 wide receivers on the show. And you're one of them, and he's one of them.
If they would have had gloves, it would have been on.
Okay, all right. Go ahead.
Give me them gloves.
I'm sorry, Brew. Go ahead.
No, I agree with Greg. Like, I was saying this, I've been saying this about Rodgers. I think he'll be somewhere in between the last year in Green Bay and MVP Aaron Rodgers. But I think closer to the MVP Aaron Rodgers. Yesterday, he was closer or almost exactly like the last year in Green Bay.
Yes.
And look, if their defense plays the way we think it should, if Breece Hall holds on to the football, then maybe they just need a good Aaron Rodgers. And he might not have to be special. He didn't look special last night. And like Greg said, I just wonder, because look, the years before LaFleur got there, the year right before he got there, he was pretty good. He had 25 touchdowns, 2 picks. But the year before that, people thought, oh, he's falling off. And then he gets with LaFleur in a little more, like you said, all the pre-snap motion and stuff, and he goes back to MVP Aaron Rodgers. I'm just wondering, does he need that type of stuff that LaFleur put in there now at 40 years old, no mobility, or at least not compared to what he used to have? And that's a question mark I do have about him.
I mean, I don't think this is all about Aaron yesterday, and we can get to the other stuff. I know you wanted to ask Greg something about Aaron before.
Oh, yeah.
But I think that Andy Reid, Kyle Shanahan are probably on a tier by themselves as far as offensive minds in the league. In that very next group, I think McVay, LaFleur. I really like Kevin O'Connell. I'm sure I'm leaving. You know what I mean? But he had one of the best. I think the Jets right now, offensive coaching staff, is in the running for one of the worst.
Well, then isn't it his job to buttress that?
No, I'm not. Well, even if it's not his, even if it's not his job to buttress it, he's the reason that's the step. Yeah, it's not giving you an excuse. I'm not making an excuse. I'm saying why I don't think it's going to get a lot better. Like, I think that we saw, and to Bruce's point, that it looked a lot like his last year in Green Bay. Numbers-wise, it was almost identical to his last game in Green Bay. They lost. They scored in the teens. He had mediocre production, 1 touchdown, 1 pick, almost identical passer rating. I still don't understand, Wilds, why people think this is going to be dramatically better than last night. Like, that's about what I expected. And I don't know, and I think people are lying to themselves when they act like it is reason for optimism that he still throws a great ball. Greg, right now, if we went outside and there was a pro quarterback, could you catch, if you were just standing there, could will you be able to catch better than 99% of human beings until you're 60 years old?
Yeah.
But you couldn't play in a football game right now. No.
You peel out.
Aaron's going to be able to throw. Like, there are
peel off.
I understand there are certain guys that, Breeze, his arm got shot. Big Ben, his arm got shot. But Dan Marino, to this day, can throw a pretty ball.
Does it. At practice.
Correct. That does not make you an NFL, oh, we saw the old Aaron Rodgers. No, we didn't. People, they tried to be like, oh, there was a flash of the old Aaron Rodgers. No, it wasn't.
The long incompletion, I was impressed by. I was like, oh, we still got it a little bit.
I don't
and it was just a long
I don't think arm strength is going to be a problem.
Yeah.
I think all of the things that go into playing NFL quarterback and all of the things that where your coaching staff can help you are all going to work against him this year.
Quickly, Greg, you mentioned it in the A block. Missed pass, I forgot what it was, a little bit of Aaron Rodgers.
First third down of the game, Lazard dropped it, and then then Breece Hall fumbled.
And it was like shot to Aaron Rodgers, like, let's say, unhappy. Do you think, hey, it's football, it is what it is, his emotions are going to be his emotions, or does he have a responsibility to kind of be a little bit more, I don't know, all the cameras are going to be on Aaron Rodgers, any reaction is going to be magnified, and I feel like we critique wide receivers if they kind of like show up their quarterback. Does it work in reverse also?
Yeah, I mean, he's going to be who he is. Like, that's who he is. Like, he's going to be disgusted if a guy drops a ball that they should catch. And to your point, he's going to always be accurate with the ball. He's going to always be able to put the ball where he wants to. The expectation is for you to reciprocate what your job is, and that's catch the ball. And that's what Allen Lazard didn't do.
Yeah, but also, some of this stuff, though, your first third down of the year, that if the Jets have all these weapons that I've been hearing about all summer, why is Allen Lazard the guy? Like, Allen Lazard has had a nice career.
He trusts him.
But on that, Pat, you can't blame him for throwing that to Lazard. It would have been a first down had he caught it.
No, but I kind of do. Because I don't think Allen Lazard is on the Jets without Aaron Rodgers. I think we've seen these things.
That's a fact.
That's a fact. And he has this huge contract, so even though they have all this talent, they're using him. Allen Lazard's not a reliable receiver in 2024. He's not. Like, it's just,
I hear you if it's game on the line, or it was the first series of the game, and he was open.
Yeah, and you can continue a drive that obviously would have been a little more meaningful than just going 3 and out, and then a fumble, all the things. So it was important. It was important.
Yeah, it's just your first drive as a Jet. I don't know. There were just a lot of little breadcrumbs of, oh, this isn't going to go well. And we're not even talking about the defense, which is supposed to be great, allowing 8 straight scoring drives.
Yeah. Well, it was Purdy on the other side, to be fair. So Purdy, 19 for 29, 231 yards. Verbatim text from Brew. He's outplaying a Hall of Famer by leaps and bounds. Purdy's straight
was.
surgical.
He was.
Post game.
For us as an offense, it's like, man, we want to score touchdowns, and we're hard on ourselves about, like I think it was like a 3rd and 8 or 3rd and 10 and coming up short. And it's like, man, there's areas where we want to push each other and get a little better, and that starts with me.
You need a bear shirt. You need a bear shirt. Purdy last night started a little bit slow and then heated up. No.